Hey everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to a very special What's in the Two. Now, hopefully, barring any delays, this is going to be our my official top 10 shows of all time. In my opinion, again, this is my personal list. So, just be that aware, this is not the definitive top 10. This is just my current top 10 as of December 30th, 2020. So hopefully this is being uploaded alright. This is the last video we're producing for 2020. This will not be counted towards our usual What's in the Tube episode count. This is a special because it's not a review. It's just me talking about my top 10, giving a brief thoughts on it because each one of these shows deserves to get... actually, I'm going to reduce the light. It's freaking bright on my side. Hold on. Sorry about that. Anyway. Oh, damn. I had the light source fairly carefully, and it's starting to gibber. Oh, boy. Hopefully, I'm still coming in all right. So, hopefully. And also, I'm a little blindsided. Anyway, with that being said, yeah, so if you're unaware of me, and you just clicked on this because you're just curious to hear people's top 10 on TV shows, my name is Joseph Prano. I have made What's in the Two my personal show on ActionX, my YouTube channel, and I talk about TV shows every single week, usually... Normally it would be two to three times a week. Right now we're doing one to two times a week. So the whole point of this show is basically me talking about, reviewing, and giving my thoughts about either reviewing an episode of a TV show that I'm reviewing the entire season for as it's coming out live on cable TV or on streaming services. As well as recently we just started doing complete season or series in Doctor Who terminology. Every review of that. Or doing a complete series of it if we've ever gotten that far, as well as doing quick impressions where I just give my brief dabbles on things. We have currently produced, hopefully by the time this is going live, 140 episodes of the show, so I feel like we did pretty well, and we're slowly establishing our mark on the TV review community. And so, I've talked about this forever. I wanted to make this video for forever. It's always so weird for me to make these top 10s because it's very subjective. And my mood and my thoughts can always change from any point onwards. Because the thing is that you have to understand about me is that my mood changes a lot. It changes. I could be the happiest person in the world, then I could be a very depressing MF. Because that's just reality of the world. And, you know, I'm a very emotional person, so that kind of even affects my current list. But I feel like I had to get in a very neutral state of mind to craft this list. And again, this is very subjective. This is my list. So please do not consider this the definitive top 10 series of all time because I have not seen every show of all time. Perhaps the best show out there for me is I haven't even seen yet. So this is always going to be changed. The goal is hopefully every year around this time period, I'll give an update on the list if there is any changes. Otherwise, I will not do it because... things change. Just to be a little bit specific on my qualifications for my top 10, it has to at least gone past the season. I'm very well aware that there are shows that end after one season and they don't come back. I get that. I understand that. It's just that I'm unless it's defined as a limited series, like it's never coming back for a season 2 or any sort of continuation, I will consider it. But if it does have plans for more seasons or it just is that method of like it was a cancellation and it sucks and it's bad. It just depends on the story you're telling. Because some of the shows on my list is a 2-season show, and some of these shows have spawned for many more seasons than that. And so it just depends on the story they're telling. And again, it's also in my opinion on how I rank them and as well. I'm gonna give my very damn best to explain it to you, but also to not also be very. I don't want to be very... This is not a review. I'm not reviewing every single one of these shows. They've either gotten their own quick impressions, or they're currently being reviewed for, or they have gotten some sort of review. Hopefully, the goal is to eventually branch these off into their own separate reviews, even if I have not gotten to them yet. So, enough badgering around. Let's get down to it. Let's go for it. Let's give the top 10 for Joseph Prano. My top 10 shows of all time. Let's do it. Alright, here we go. Number 10. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yes. The first MCU show not anymore, since with the whole Disney Plus shows that are coming out next year, that's going to be completely no longer the terminology of it. It's now MCU adjacent, as I like to call it. It's like, it is technically in the universe, but it's not now. Recently, it's not anymore, so it's not really canon into that universe timeline, or at least the way Marvel Studios considers it. It's not in the timeline. The reason why Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on my list, because I'm very well aware it's not a very popular show. I'm aware that it really fell off hard, because the reason why it's on the top 10, it's at the very cups of it, because a lot of things have happened in recent years. So I'm like, the show's clinging on for dear life, but it's still, it's the first show I've ever watched in terms of like my modern self. It's been 7 years. I give a lot of credit to this show because it was the very first cable network show that I watched. That was my first branch off point from Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, or Disney Channel. Like, the kids stuff I used to watch. Yes, I'm very well admitting I still watch kids stuff well into my early high school years, because I was a kid. I was still growing up. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was the show for me to, like, push me over. And I gotta give that a lot of respect, and that's why it's so ranked highly on all my lists. I think I've watched over 80 plus shows by this point, and it's high up there because it is the very first one that I watched. And it spawned everything from me getting into more cable TV shows, to me eventually branching off to the streaming network, to eventually me now doing my own reviews. I come a long way, and it's all because of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Is it a perfect series? Not at all. I really enjoyed it, and the fact that it went for 7 seasons and the last 3 were not the best in terms of ratings, and it still survived, is a testament to how loyal the fan base is, and how ABC, Disney remained committed to the show and wanted it to keep going and to allow it to continue telling their story. Especially after season 5, where at that point it was like, hands off the rails, we're not doing MCU stuff anymore, we're going to be our own story. Because by that point they kind of just grew into like, it slowly became an MCU show to just being a show. And that's a good thing, because I feel like for me, the MCU stuff that... Now, don't get me wrong, and again, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but there was a very clever twist they did in season 1, that it was only possible because of the MCU. And I'll give them credit there. I'll give them credit there. But afterwards, it just kind of felt like a burden. That they had to tie it in. At some point in the season, they had to have a thematic tie to whatever the big event movie was coming out for. And they were always trying to tie themselves into it so they don't stay out of the loop, which I understand, I get. This show definitely suffered a huge rating decline from episode 1 to then episode number... The final episode, I forgot what number it was. But the fact that this was the show that also made me care about the characters. And if you have watched me or not, or if you're a first timer to me, in terms of my YouTube world, I always value the characters. I make sure that I want to see the characters grow. I want to see them. They're the shining point of the show. The story can be meh, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. definitely proved it. There was that point where like, I don't get the story. I don't even know what they're trying to tell. But it's the characters. I just love the banter. I love the development cycles they're going through. They just are the thing that I'm watching, and I love it, and that's why I kept going for it. Like, if it wasn't for the cast and character, I would have dropped off after season 2 or 3 or even 4. I would have dropped off. But the characters stayed consistent. They grew. They matured. You see a very polar change in season 1 to season 7. You see that change, and for a good reason. And I really did damn enjoy this run. And I'm very grateful the show concluded. It concluded earlier this year. I'm very happy it got the ending on their terms, and I'm very happy about it. So, with that being said, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is currently my number 10 on my list. Number 9, Jane the Virgin. Sorry if I keep laughing. I just anticipate people's reactions as they're watching this. Like, wait, what? Jane the Virgin? What's Jane the Virgin? If you haven't seen Jane the Virgin, go watch it. Jane the Virgin is honestly, I did a quick impression on this last year on my channel. So you can go check that out. For Jane the Virgin, it's another character piece again, and also again, I'm being very biased here. It is a Latina. It's a very Hispanic focused show than out of anything else on this list. It's it's the most connected to me. I feel the most connected to this in terms of the culture, in terms of the characters, in terms of the story they're trying to tell. And I'm a sap for a good romance story. This was it. And this is basically the American telenovela. So if you don't know what a telenovela is, think of daytime soaps, where the acting can be very debatable. I don't think the acting on those shows are... I'm sorry, I don't mean to criticize daytime actors or telenovela actors or actresses. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest there. For me, it's overacting at its finest. And me, as a kid growing up, my grandma, my parents loved telenovelas. And I would just get infused in the realm, even though they're like in episode 60-something and I'm just starting. I'm like, what's going on? Who's this character? What are they speaking? Why is this guy kissing? Why does his mom keep trying to kill the guy? It's like, it's stupid. It's so over dramatic, but I loved it. And Jane the Virgin is at times like that. And I guess that's where the charm comes from. But it's also, again, this is a simple story. Boil it down. It's a writer who wants to tell a great romance story when she's inadvertently the star of her own romance story. Through pure coincidental accident that causes two worlds to collide. And it's just, on paper, it's like, this should have a very simple conclusion, A to B. And no, this is like, goes all over the place. But I love it. I love it. And, God, I love this. This show was awesome watching. I binged the first 4 seasons on Netflix before the last season came on in the CW. Jesus Christ. Also, shout out to... I'm trying to make a point to mention actors and actresses' names to give credit where credit's due. Gina Rodriguez, hands down, great performance as Jane. She did an amazing show. She even won an Emmy for that award, which I'm like, damn. I'm impressed. I think that was the first CW show to ever get nominated for an Emmy. That's like very rare because people very much criticize the CW, and there's more on this list. Actually, is there? I don't think it is. Don't quote me on that. But no, Jane the Virgin. Again, if you're unaware, if you're confused by this point because I keep rambling on about these shows, I'm not trying to spoil anything. These are very just basic reviews, quick impression. The quickest impressions as I can ever produce. That's basically it. I'm not trying to spoil anything, but the story of Jane the Virgin that it tells over 100 chapters or 100 episodes, it all pays off. It's like very well written, and every episode matters towards the bigger story. Or if it doesn't really serve, if it's just more like pantering, it's just still funny enough. I just have to do this line because I think I did this in the quick impressions video, but I don't remember. That was like a while ago. But I'm gonna just do this again because I just want to do the voice. If you're unaware, this is a character from Jane the Virgin. Helio de la Vega. Yeah, I butchered it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jamie Camille. I'm sorry. Please don't sue me. I'm sorry. Don't hunt me down. I'm sorry. I apologize. But no, Jane the Virgin, such a great show. The characters, the story, the Hispanic representation. God, I love this show so much. I think it's in the possible contender to do an every season review at some point down the line. This is not an announcement. I'm just saying, like, in terms of me reviewing it, I definitely have plans at some point in the future. I don't know when or with who, but it's going to happen at some point down the line. So, number 8, Cobra Kai. Now, this is a much more recent addition. I had another. Here's the thing: the list is always changing as I watch new shows or I binge new shows, and I get a new different light on them. Here's the thing: maybe I watched the show before and I did not view it highly as I thought I did, and then in a later rewatch, I'm like, oh my god, this is so damn good, and then I changed my tune on it. Cobra Kai, I probably binged this show, like, I believe 2 times already. I binged it once when it was coming free on YouTube before its inevitable move to Netflix, and then I just binged it again when it went on Netflix. Even though it's only 2 seasons, and this is the first example of a show that is still ongoing, so this is what I mean. Season 3 comes out next year. Will Season 3 affect it? The ranking of this? It could. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But right now, based on the first 2 seasons, I think it's one of the best damn shows ever made. I mean, it's so weird that this is part of the whole revival craze of the 2010s, where, you know, my generation, the 90s kids, or the earlier 90s kids, or the late 80s kids, like, their properties, the shows they used to watch growing up, they're starting to come back in big ways because of the push of social media, between memes, cultural references. People are starting to recognize these characters now more so than ever. Obviously, Comic-Cons are a thing to keep them those characters in those worlds alive. And in some cases, networks noticed, and they're like, hey, let's continue this world. Let's do something. And Karate Kid was one of them. And what's ironic is that this crosses over in a way with another show on the list. And that kind of was one of the bases for the inspiration for this show. And here's the thing about me, if you want to understand my Karate Kid lineage, I'm not the best Karate Kid fan at all. I watched the first movie way back in about like 7-8 years ago, around that time period. Never saw the sequels. Never saw the next Karate Kid. I saw 2010, the Jaden Smith one. I watched that in theaters. So again, if you're polarizing, criticizing me, like, what are you doing, man? You have to at least watch the trilogy. Maybe one day, but not anytime soon. But I went to Cobra Kai because the thing is that Cobra Kai is meant for older viewers and newer viewers. And the thing I gotta compliment the show is that you don't have to be an original fan to watch the show. You don't have to be. You can be a new, which I was, like, this show was trending. This show was being talked about. And it was for free on YouTube when it came out. So I'm like, screw it, why not? I'll watch the first 2 episodes, see how it goes. And again, it's another thing about the characters. Whether you have an original character just like Johnny Lawrence or Daniel LaRusso, when you have those two come on screen, like, you already sense the rivalry between them. You sense the conflict between them. You get this understanding via flashbacks to the older movies. You understand what's going on in their current situation. Even stuff that I either vaguely remember seeing or reading about it online. I know what this dynamic is, and then seeing the new characters come into play, and it works so well that for a revival, people usually care about the older characters, not much about the newer characters. In this case, I'm interested in both how the older rivalry between Daniel and Johnny is going to play on this new show in this current time period, and then getting introduced to the new kids who are just starting their marks in this larger world. And it's just like, it just makes sense. Every episode, again, this is the very much of the benefits of having a shorter episode order, not being your typical network show where it's not 22 episodes, it's only 10 episodes a season, and they make every episode matter. They make every episode worth it. And the reduced runtime does really much help because it keeps the story concise and it keeps it contained, and you have a much more specific focus on the story they're trying to tell. And that's what I love about it. And the fact that it's constantly, so far, it's kept the quality from episode 1 to episode 20, which is the last one I saw, is freaking great. That they're able to kind of like blend the moments of like, oh, are they going to recover? Or are they going to do good? And then they go another way. And the fight scenes, the karate scenes, oh my god, so freaking well done. And also, I took karate as a kid, so got a little emotional resonance towards that, a little bit of a nostalgia feel to that. So even though it's not the nostalgia they're trying to capitalize on, it definitely is working, and it definitely does appeal to me as a fan. So I give Cobra Kai the number 8 spot on my list. Number 7, Marvel's Daredevil. So I think this is the only. This is probably the only other Marvel show on my list. It's not even MCU related. Daredevil. My God, it's also ironic considering the fact with the rumors going around when I'm recording this about Daredevil, the whole hashtag Save Daredevil movement. This is a very topical spot for me to talk about. And the thing that I gotta give credit about Daredevil was the first show I watched on Netflix. And I distinctly remember because I watched Daredevil on my freaking Wii U. That's how old I was. I watched Daredevil on my Wii U's Netflix app. That's how old I am. Well, that's how old the show is / to when I was watching it. It's the same thing. I've heard very critical acclaimed stuff about it. I knew this was going to lead into a much larger Marvel Netflix crossover thing down the line. And I want to get involved in that. So I did. I watched it. And oh my god, it was so freaking good. I cannot even stress it enough. Daredevil is probably one of those shows that I talk about with George. If you don't know him, he's one of my best friends, freaking collaborator on the channel, freaking co-host, member of the channel. We talk about Daredevil a good amount of the times whenever we talk about Marvel stuff, because it's just so damn good. And it does stumble a bit in season 2. It does stumble, but not a big one where it's like it noticeably drops the quality. It doesn't. There's like a much consistent bar of quality throughout the 3 seasons, and it's very unfortunate it only got 3 seasons. If they had gotten more, it probably would have even gotten better, maybe even gotten a higher ranking, but who knows. I love Daredevil so much because it's not your typical superhero show. It's a story about this man who wants to do the right thing as a vigilante. He's not your superhero. Was supposed to be in the MCU world. It wasn't. It eventually got retconned, or maybe it won't. Who knows? Slight tease. Hopefully, we'll find out more in the future. Who knows? But this is just another great cast of characters between Matt Murdock, who has so many secrets, who leads this double life. To then we have the big bad Wilson Fisk, played by the amazing Vincent D'Onofrio. He does such an amazing job as Kingpin. It's so difficult for me to think about Kingpin in a live action sense, since you have him in the cartoons where he's like big. He's just big. I'm sorry. Like I'm not trying to be this offensive here or anything, but he's just big, and it's like there's absolutely no way they're going to properly cast him in the MCU or anything live action nowadays. And I was proven wrong. Vincent D'Onofrio plays a very realistic Kingpin, a realistic Wilson Fisk, and it works out so freaking well. And the conflict between him and Daredevil is just, my God, especially when we get to season 3. Oh man, that show is, damn, it's just so damn good. The fight scenes, oh my God, they did such an amazing job on these fight scenes. Like every season has that one fight scene. You just talk about it and you just analyze and you just rewatch it over and over again to see how they choreographed that, how they filmed that. It's just so repeatable that it's such a damn shame that they cut it close after season 3. And again, I knew that was because of the whole restructuring and them wanting to focus more on like the Marvel Studio stuff. I do get that. I understand that it sadly was a causality or just a casualty of the change up that I was very bummed about, but I was really hopeful. But still, no matter what, they produced 39 great episodes of television, and yeah, that's why I give Daredevil my number 7 spot. Number 6, ScoobyDoo Mystery Incorporated. Oh God, I haven't talked about this show in a while, but I still just mentioning the words, it just like comes back out of my mind. So I feel like the period between 2010, so I want to say 2013. That small window for cartoons, it just exploded. Okay, okay. No, it didn't explode. The quality just rose sharply for me. Like cartoons at that time period were just going places, and Scooby-Doo has had histories of animated shows, from a lot of great ones to a lot of good ones to a lot of bad ones. There's been a lot of cartoons, and Mystery Incorporated was something different. The animation style felt it didn't feel too different, and it felt more, it's weird. It's got that weird, it's retro, but it's trying to be modern, and it's trying to give these characters, like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not an animation dork or an animation expert. I'm not, but damn, I don't know how the designs for these characters and then like the larger world, it just works for the story that they're telling. And this is a much more serialized approach to the Scooby-Doo nature, and even the very first Scooby-Doo show to even the more recent one, they've been very formulaic. Like they've been very more, or very singular. Here's the villain, or here's the monster. We get chased by him. We try to find them. We unmask them. That sort of thing. And not to say the show doesn't have their moments like that, but there's a larger story at play that spans throughout the 2 seasons, throughout the 52 episodes. And when you get little hints, like every episode has to make a kind of like a development towards the larger mystery or a personal thing that's going on between the group or the gang. I gotta be correct here. That's kind of what their purpose was, and then they succeeded in every single episode possible. To when this felt like the amalgamation of the classics to a more modern era of storytelling, and it just worked. I want to own the DVDs badly. I keep forgetting to buy the DVDs. Damn, they're probably cheap right now. I'm gonna probably buy them after this because I like the show some. I really do. I really dig this show. This show is just so groovy that it references the past shows, but also like it does its own thing. It's not trying to be a ripoff. It's just trying to honor the legacy of what the show has done before in previous incarnations, and then for them to do their own thing. And I don't know, and also I'm a sucker for a good mystery. I really am. I love the overall mystery, learning about new things, learning about developments, learning about what's going to happen next. I love that. And the show concluded a very long time ago, I think in 2013. So, damn, it's been 7 years. And 2 more iterations came out. I'm like, I'm not big fans of these. I am just not. But, yeah, I just love Scooby-Doo so much. I just love the Mystery Machine, the Mystery Inc. gang. I love them so much. This is probably, I think for me, this is the definitive the take on them animation wise for me personally. That's a very loaded statement, but that's my opinion on the matter. So yeah, that's why I give Mystery Incorporated the number 6 spot. Number 5, I'm really gonna talk about it. I really am. I'm kidding. No, it's not even anything that crazy. It was just. It's Gravity Falls. I talked about Gravity Falls just recently. Go check out the quick impressions on that one. I'll just simplify it again if you haven't. Gravity Falls, again, in that window of great shows that came out between 2010 to 2013 for me, it's just such a damn good show. It really is. Like, it tells a very serialized story that you don't get in cartoons so much, with a cast of characters in the small town of Gravity Falls that explains the lore and like the feeling and the wonder of like what is remarkable about this small town that exists. And in this iteration, we just get a ton of mystery. We just get a ton of like special creatures and special beings you normally would never see out there in the real world. It's all in this one small town, and it just takes 2 outsiders to come in and like really make a change, make a difference, and like spark something new to happen around this small town that usually nothing eventful happens. No, I just love Gravity Falls so much. I really do. Between Dipper, Mabel, Grunkle Stan, the larger cast of characters, and this mystery they're trying to tell about, what the seekers of Gravity Falls as a town and what other paranormal activity goes around it. They just do such a great job on that. And the creator, Alex Hurd, did an amazing job scripting out and planning out these 40 episodes, making it very kid-friendly and then very hardcore investigative style with all the ciphers and all the clues and all the... Oh, man, this show. I said it before and I'll say it again. This show could have gotten another season. It could have just been like random adventures. I would have been sold down for that. But we don't have that. We don't get that. So, oh well, what can you do? But if you want to hear more impressions on that, a much more deeper analysis on that, go check out the Gravity Falls Quick Impressions episode that we did earlier last month. So go check that out in the archives. But that's why I give Gravity Falls the number 5 spot. Number 4. We're reaching the end. We're already past the halfway mark. The Spectacular Spider-Man. It's not a list of anything that I have that Spider-Man's not in it. Spider-Man, oh my god. Spectacular Spider-Man is probably the definitive Spider-Man cartoon show. It's better than the 90s series. It's the best. It's an understatement and a disgrace that the show did not get renewed for season 3 or didn't get to come back for season 3, because even in 26 episodes they've done so much in terms of character growth and development and storytelling. It's like I wanted to see more of this. This team's take on Peter Parker and his high school life and the villains he fights. And it perfectly bends Spider-Man problems with Peter Parker problems. And whenever they merge, it just... Oh my god, it's so good. The voice cast, solid. Josh Keaton as Peter Parker. I think one of the top 5, in my opinion, of portraying Spider-Man in terms of like the voice. He just does such a damn good job portraying that... they blur the line sometimes because like this is not an origin story Spider-Man. This is much more of a year 2 Spidey. So he's a little bit more deeper into his haul, but he hasn't gotten through his rogue gallery yet. Actually, wait, is this a year 2 story? No, it's not a year 2 story. This is after the summer of training. So he knows how to use his powers, but he still has yet to fight the big villains. And when we get to see that go out throughout the 26 episodes that we were fortunate enough to get, you see that. And again, another thing, even in 26 episodes, they managed to take all the characters we've seen since the first episode, or the first set of episodes, and they dramatically change them throughout the entire run. And they start in interesting places, and they go into like either more interesting places or directions that we would see before in the comics or in any other medium or interpretation of these characters. And that's where Spectacular Spider-Man gets me. And it's... Oh my god, I want to do a quick impressions on this so badly someday. I really do. I want to just talk about it, but we're not just quite there yet. But is just, it's so criminal. This show didn't get renewed for more. There has to be a loophole. They got to find a way to bring this show back, because I need to see more of this. Will we actually? I don't know. Hopefully one day the gods will be thankful to like bless us with a third season or a revival. We'll see. But Spectacular Spider-Man, man, it's the number 4 spot for a reason. It just holds a special place in my heart. And it's the best Spider-Man cartoon that has ever existed by far. Better than anything that's come before and better than anything that's come after. And you can agree with me on that one. You can agree with me. Well, the 90s series though. Number 3, The Rookie. Now again, it's another case of similar to Cobra Kai. It is a show that is ongoing. It's not concluded yet. In fact, The Rookie and Cobra Kai are currently the only 2 series on my list. No, wait, no, oh no, the next number 2 is also that. Those are the only 3 shows on my list that are like, they're still going. So there's a case they can either rise higher in the list or they can go lower on the list. Anything can happen. But for number 3, it's The Rookie. I'm currently doing a review series on it. We have done season 2. We reviewed every episode in season 2. So you want a very more in-depth look into The Rookie, check them out right there. We're about to start season 3. Oh, damn, I spoiled it. Damn. Yeah, we're going to do season 3 reviews next year. That's kind of like a mild spoiler. There we go. It's out of the wagon. Oh, well. You'll hear more about it in a few days on the Sway of the channel. But there you go. But no, The Rookie, oh my God. I was very hesitant on this show when they got first announced. Nathan Fillion, cool dog. He's a very cool actor. I've seen him in a few projects then and there in my time period. I thought he was a nice dude. I was initially not enticed to see it because it looked like a typical procedural. I sworn off procedurals because for me, I just don't see how can they make a story on regular, day-to-day activities in life. It's a procedural. It's basic. Point A to point B. Here's the situation. They're going to solve it. And I know I talk about, it's the characters that drive me through. But it's in that one case where I'm like, I really want a story and I don't want to risk like jumping into any procedural. So I opted originally not to go into The Rookie. Then what happened was Nathan Fillion's face just went all over my spear. Like I saw Nathan Fillion on the bus, on billboard, on my TV, on my YouTube ads. It's like the promotional market campaign for The Rookie is probably one of the best I've seen. Where I think it was like a few weeks before I watched it, I was waiting for the bus to head back home. And I was like, okay, I am definitely for sure not going to see The Rookie again. And it's like, if God will tell me if I'm wrong. And then all of a sudden, a bus passed by with Nathan Fillion's face on it promoting The Rookie. And I'm like, fine, I will watch the first episode. To please you, Lord, I will do it. And I did, and I loved it. It's another thing about the character. Yes, it is very procedural at times, but they're still telling a story about this middle-aged man who thought he had his life kind of set in stone and like an old-fashioned person. But then things happen, life changes. It's modern society. Things change. So does he. And he gets flung into this whole new world in this whole new corner of his life in this new chapter. And he's trying to deal with it with the best he can, and I just love it. Nathan Fillion is such an amazing actor, and he does such a great job making John Nolan a likable force to be reckoned with, as well as his the cast of characters on The Rookie, between his fellow TOs to his fellow rookies, to his also fellow TO, to his superiors, to his friends that he makes along the way. It just I talk about Rookie to death, and it's high praise from me, and it's definitely one of my I think for 2 years in a row I think it's probably my number 1 show in terms of the overall season. That's what I mean. In an overall year, that's what I mean. But still, I love The Rookie so much. You can hear me praise more about it on the reviews. Go check them out on the channel if you want to. Also catch them on Hulu. There you go. But that's why I give The Rookie in the number 3 spot on my list. Number 2, My Hero Academia. This is another case to me. This is all George's fault again. George has introduced me to so many shows, and I've surpassed him on every level. I'm better than you, George. I'm sorry. We can just admit that already. But so for me, as a fan, I was very against watching the show. I never had an interest in it. I heard about it so much during season 1's airing. I never was inclined to go watch it because the way George pitched me the show was like, this is a show where this is a superhuman society where it's like superheroes are a very it's like a job. Like it's a career choice. You can become a superhero by this point, and majority of people do. If you have quirks, which basically another terminology for superpowers, you can be a hero, and that's the premise of the show. Like this is a society where like heroes and superheroes and supervillains are much more common. There's much more. It's much more seen on a more active basis than our current society. And the show focuses on a class of up and coming superheroes of teenagers wanting to become superheroes. And I was like, wait, 20 characters? How the fuck are you gonna focus the term on 20 characters? And he was explaining to me like, no, there's obviously the main character, your typical shonen protagonist, but there's a bunch of other characters too. But then they're part of the story too. I was like very vehemently against it, and I'm like, I'll give you the first episode, maybe 2, and I did. I watched the first 2 episodes. I thought they were okay. And then I said, okay, you know what? I'll watch more. I don't have anything else going, and I'll watch it. And oh my god, I was so fucking wrong. This show was so good. Oh my god, I love this show so much. I think I binged this show 6-7 times already. That's just how it is. Like again, it combines everything I've talked about before: storytelling, character, a unique world, and it just amazing. Animated fight scenes that just make me want to just be hyped up. And the story's still going. It's still, even in the manga form, it's still telling the story. In anime form, it's still telling the story. It's still an ongoing journey. But I cannot imagine the story dipping in quality. It's just so damn good. Between the Deku Bakugo rivalry, between the whole passing the torch between the number one hero of all time, All Might, to Deku, who wants to be the next biggest hero in the world. There's just so much going on in a good way, and they make all these characters so likable and so, it just, every scene with these characters just vibes so well, you don't want to skip a beat. And I've been very much down to do, like, let's just do a filler arc. Let's just have the characters just be students for, like, a good 8-10 episodes. I would watch it. I'd be fine with it. That's how very supportive I am. Like, give us filler. Just give us more filler stuff, because I want to see more of these characters. And the writers of the anime does a pretty good job too, translating and also expanding the lore just tiny bits at a time. But yeah, that's my opinion. I would love to do a whole My Hero Academia review series at some point. Problem is, George and I are busy. We're already struggle with doing Doctor Who and our other regular content, as well as being best friends. So I don't think it's quite in the bandwagon right now, but hopefully someday we'll be able to talk about more about My Hero Academia. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, My Hero Academia number 2 on my list. And number one, I'm going to say it. This is number 1, and it's going to be a very unique number 1. I don't think it's on anyone's number 1. It probably is, but I don't know. My number 1 show of all time is How I Met Your Mother. It's probably, for me, the best show that has ever been written. It's the best show I've ever seen. And it's such a loaded statement, because I think out of every show on my list, this is the longest. And the problem is, when you get into long-running shows, it is very difficult to maintain the quality. And I will admit, none of the shows I mentioned before are perfect. Well, actually, perfect is like 100%, no complaint, hands down. There's always criticisms I have with every one of these shows. I have it with My Hero, I have it with The Rookie, I have them in here with How I Met Your Mother. The thing that I put How I Met Your Mother on top of everything else, it's just, it's a story. It's a very weird story. It has a very divisive ending, a very divisive conclusion that I very much get. And I talked about this with George in depth on our 100 episode special of What's in the Tube that we promoted earlier last June. How I Met Your Mother still remains in my heart the number 1 show, because I feel the deepest connection. I feel the most resemblance, or the most resonance out of this world, where you meet this man named Ted Mosby, who all he wants to do at this point in the show, at the start of it to the end of it, he wants to meet his wife. He wants to be able to settle down, have kids, find his true love, and then live that happily ever after. And as many of you know, sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's hard. This is the case where, like, he goes through the ringer, and he has his best friends. And he goes through a lot in his life, and he has to go through a lot of growing pains, a lot of challenges, a lot of lessons learned to get to the mother of his children. It takes him a long time to meet her, but the journey you witness is worth it. And I know a lot of people complain about, oh, it's too long, or they lose the resonance later on in life, or the ending is very much, why are they doing this? Why did they do that? Why did you even think about doing it? I understand all the statements. I understand them all. I get that. I completely understand that. As a mega fan, to speaking about it with other people in my circle, I get the complaints. I get that. But How I Met Your Mother is a representation of life. And I know it's a TV show and you're not supposed to do it, but damn, I'm proven wrong. This show is a representation of life and romance. Life is never going to work out the way you think, or life is not going to go the way you think it's going to go. And your love life can be very much up and down, but whoever you believe in a God or whatever universe or force there is, it's guiding you through a journey, and they're giving you the task the challenges that you have to go through to get to where you are. And that's what the show is. Every character has to go through challenges to get to where they need to get at the very end of the series. And then when you look back on it, because I binged this show, I think 3 times. Now, I know I said My Hero Academia I did 7 times. It was much more manageable than How I Met Your Mother. I think I binged it 3 times in total. I might be overdue for a 4th at some point next year. But the thing I have to say about it is that you see the characters change. You see them grow. And you get to that point, it's like, yeah, I want to meet the mother already, but here's the thing. It's like us. Like, I want to meet my wife already. Or I want to meet my husband already. Or I want to meet my soulmate already. We all want that. But it's going to happen when it happens. How I Met Your Mother, yeah, it could have ended a season early. I can maybe admit that. But I love these characters so much that I just wanted to keep them going through life. And they're always learning, they're always growing, and they're going to get there eventually. And they did. And the ending is, again, another representation of life. Again, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but the way that it ended, that's how life is. You can't control it. That's the thing. Not everything is a happy ending. So in some aspects it is, and some it isn't. That's the thing, and I think that's why the show did so well on that front. And I had no criticism on that front. And they told the story they needed to tell in this very realistic world that we live in, and that's why I put this as the top of my list. Also, I connect with Ted Mosby so much, even though we're clearly different people. I connect with him so much, and I learned a lot from him, and I can also learn a great deal from him that I haven't learned just yet. But this show's number one for that reason. I want to do a follow up to that episode review because there is much more to talk about. We can do more. I don't think it'll be for the 200. I think it might be later down the line. But yeah, we'll figure it out from there. But yeah, there you go. There's my top 10. Hopefully I boiled it down like right here around me. Like, this is my definitive top 10. Let me know in the comments below. What did you think of... What are your top 10 lists? I want to hear it. I want to talk about it. If you agree with my list, great. If you don't agree with my list, that's great too. It's fine. Let me know in your comments below. What are your top 10s? Let me know. I would love to talk about it. I would love to maybe have a conversation. I'm always down to have one. But if you like me, ramble on for how long this has gone for, and you want to see more of me, well, that's a great thing because we do What's in the Tube each and every week on Action X. We do episode reviews on show. We do season reviews on show. We do quick impressions on show. We do series review on show, like a whole series review. Go check it out. We've done a lot by this point. We're going to go big and hard next year, so stay tuned for that if you want to stay around for the ride. But if you only just were curious to see how one man's list compares to others, that's fine too. I hope you enjoyed your viewing pleasure. But if you're unaware, this has been Joe from Action X. You've been watching a What's in the Tube special. So again, hopefully you're having a great holiday season. Hopefully you're about to have a fantastic conclusion to 2020 because we definitely need this year to freaking end already. 2021, here we come. Yeah, but let me know. Subscribe if you want to. Ring the bell for notifications if you want to keep up to date with us. Follow us on social media if you want to keep up to date with us. Share if you want to. That's it. That's all I gotta say. And so until next time, or until something changes on this list, or something dramatic of sorts, let me know. Or I'll let you know. I don't know what's going on. I'm tired. I've been up since like the morning, so I'm gonna go to bed. But again, thank you so much for watching. Peace out. Happy holidays.